Hey guys, Ryan here. Today we're talking about my newest short film, Trophies, and everything that went into making it. Now there's going to be huge spoilers for Trophies in this video, so if you haven't seen the film yet, please go watch Trophies first and then come back and check this video out. Be sure to stick around until the end of this video because I'm going to be going over questions that you guys posted in regards to the film after it was released. Trophies is a short horror thriller mystery that I've been planning for a while now. And the idea for it actually came from, if you remember a while back, I posted a location scouting video about a bridge here near the area where I live. After going and filming that bridge on a really rainy kind of overcast day, ideas for stories started coming through my head. I really wanted to figure out something that I could shoot at that location that would highlight the location and let me use it and also tell a great story. At the same time, I've been wanting to create some sort of detective thriller mystery story for a while and turn it into a feature film. And I thought that I would use this opportunity to put together a proof of concept for a potential feature film that I could make in the future. And that was how this story came about. I didn't want to do the traditional, detectives hunting down a serial killer thing. I wanted to kind of twist the idea around on its head. And spoilers, have the detective actually be the villain in the story. Now, if this were going to be turned into a full feature film, you wouldn't know that fact until maybe the end of the story, while, two detectives and were hunting the killer and their partner ended up being the killer in the end, something along those lines, but you get the idea. So anyway, I started putting together this story in my head loosely. Nothing was down on paper yet, for a story about a evil detective, and abuse of power was the theme of this story. And I started thinking about ways I could use that location. And one day I just woke up and the weather was perfect, storm clouds in the air, the wind was blowing. And I told my wife, I was like, I need to get outside and shoot something today. And in that respect, this film actually feels kind of like a spiritual successor to one of the very first short films I posted here on the channel, which is still one of the most popular somehow, The Farmhouse. The morning I woke up and started shooting The Farmhouse, I had no intentions of making a short film out of it. Many of you may know this story already. I woke up and the weather was just absolutely perfect. And I was like, I need to go film that farmhouse today because it looks so cool. And that's really how this short film came to be too. But this time I actually had a story in mind for something I could do. So I just drove out to the location, set my camera up and started filming some shots of me walking around the area. And as I did that, the story kind of came together. I never wrote a script for this short film. I did a few storyboards just to get my ideas collected of how he was digging through the dirt and looking for the ring and all that kind of stuff. The most challenging aspect of making this short film was the weather. I wasn't able to film everything in one day, which was really disappointing to me. And the first day that I started filming this, the weather was just absolutely perfect. And the next week, there was a kind of another day where it was kind of cloudy, but not really rainy, or, there was a little bit of sunlight coming through. And I filmed quite a few scenes that day. When I got home with the footage, nothing matched up. I couldn't get anything to look the same. Just that little sliver of sunlight in the air completely changed the look of the film. So that was a big challenge. And right after I finished, painstakingly over the course of a couple of weeks, looking for those perfect weather days, after I actually finished filming everything, we had a whole week where the weather was exactly what I needed the entire week. So yeah, after all that, anxiety and stress, freaking out about being able to get perfect weather days, we had an entire week where the weather was perfect. Go figure, But let's go ahead and walk through this film and I'll kind of talk about everything piece by piece. The first thing you may notice watching this is I've created a new production company name called Ritual Myth Entertainment. There's going to be more to come on that in the future. I'm actually working on some really exciting things with my friend Courtney Jones, which kind of led to this, but I can't really talk about it yet. So hopefully I can tell you guys more about that business endeavor in the coming months, next year, hopefully sometime. Now, as I said, the theme of this film is abuse of power. And I found some really great quotes about abuse of power. And I thought this one really fit the story really well. and, matched the theme I was going for. I just feel like there's absolutely nothing scarier than someone in a position of power that is in a position where they can abuse that power and control others or take advantage of others. And I think a detective being an evil person like this is really, really scary. They can almost do whatever they want and maybe even get away with it if they're smart enough, which is a really scary thing to think about. Now, the first voice you will hear is me. I am playing the part of Detective Paul Parker, the serial killer. And the second voice you'll hear is a voice actor named E.D. Luke. I found him on Fiverr, and I paid him for his services, and he provided a great voiceover for the role of the captain who is speaking to his detective about returning to the crime scene and seeing if there's anything they missed. I saw a few people were kind of confused about this aspect. I'll go into questions at the end of this video. But yeah, maybe a little confusing to some people that, the detective is going back out to a site. This title shot here overlooking the cornfield was one of the first shots I filmed. I was actually on the way to the bridge location, and I saw this cornfield on the side of the road with the wind gently blowing through it, and I just had to stop and get an establishing shot here. And I thought this worked really great for an opening shot. So moody. Mood is such an important part of this short film and just any film in general, in my opinion. Sometimes mood is more important to me than story. I know that might be blasphemy to some people, but I really love establishing a mood and a sense of time and place and weather. And this shot really just conveys all of that with the simple blowing of the breeze and a look at the clouds and the landscape. I just thought it looked great, and it's a beautiful shot. I'm really proud of this shot. And here we have some additional establishing shots. The dialogue is all taking place off camera. I thought that was really important. I didn't want to have the main character show his face at all, so I thought it was important that I have the dialogue happening off camera for the most part. And here are some more establishing shots of the bridge area and the location that our character is going to be investigating. This establishing more mood and location. I filmed this entire thing almost completely by myself as far as camera work goes. Every shot you see, I would set the camera up, find my focus, white balance, all that good stuff. And I would add in motion in post-production. All the motion, all the camera motion you see, if I'm not holding the camera, is motion that I added in post-production, so it's not real. And I think it's a great way to make it look like you have someone operating the camera if you are filming by yourself. Now here we have the very first sign that something might not be exactly right with this detective character. He kind of sounds like the captain is getting on his nerves. And if you don't know the whole story, you could just chalk that up to him not liking to obey authority, or maybe him and the captain have had some sort of bad history where they don't get along. A lot of times in detective movies, detectives and captains bump heads, and they disagree on a lot of different things. So that was kind of my intention here, was to give a little taste that something isn't right with this detective's frame of mind, but also it could be explained away in a very natural and, conceivable way that he is just not good at taking orders from this particular captain. And here we have a shot where you see our missing person that the detective is searching for. You see her name is Olivia Braddock. This is actually my oldest daughter's senior picture that I used to create this missing person flyer. And if you look closely at the bottom, you'll see that the case name is The Ring Bearer. That's kind of an Easter egg that you might miss. This film was actually called The Ring Bearer early on, but I decided to change it to a one-word name because I just like the way that sounded. And I changed it to Trophies, which I feel like is a much more fitting name for the film. Here we have a great shot of the detective getting out of the car and approaching the bridge area. I was kind of torn on some of these scenes. I didn't want to have too much of him just walking around, and I actually cut out quite a bit. There's a constant struggle with me, and I guess many filmmakers, where I get these really great looking shots of just like mundane things happening, like the detective walking around the crime scene. You only need so much of that. If it's not propelling the story forward, it's usually best to cut that out with a short film. And I struggled with that in this film as well. I ended up keeping a few scenes that I actually removed and then put back in of him just walking across the bridge and stuff like that. And like I said, there's that constant struggle of, shots looking really good and you want to use them, but you have to ask yourself, does it move the story forward? And I thought in this case, I could use it because I wanted to show that he was walking deep into the woods. And I thought that was my, motivation for using those shots in the film. Almost all of the sound effects you hear in this film, including the gravel, footsteps, and the door shutting on the car, all of that was provided by Epidemic Sound. I use Epidemic Sound for all of my short films. All of the sound work, all of the music you hear in here is all from Epidemic Sound. It's a great service, great search functionality to find just about anything that you're looking for. And if you follow the link in the description below, you can get a free trial. So be sure to check that out and tell them that Ryan sent you. Now, one thing that I was kind of disappointed about while shooting this was I had a flashlight on me at the time of filming these scenes. And for some reason, the flashlight beam just didn't show up on camera. I don't know why. Kind of a missed opportunity. I thought there was some great spots where it would be great to see the light from the flashlight searching the area, but it just didn't show up on camera for some reason. If I could go back, I would probably use some haze in the scenes to give the woods a little bit more depth and creepiness. But I was shooting guerrilla style, didn't have much time to plan things out as people were constantly coming in and out of this location and blocking my shots. So I had to film really quick. I didn't use any lighting. Everything you see is natural lighting. And, I just used minimal gear, my camera, myself, and that was pretty much it. Now here we have a scene where the detective is startled, where some birds are breaking a tree branch in the distance and fluttering away. I wanted to add this scene in just to make the audience get a little bit more closer to this detective character. That way I could pull the rug out from under them later. When, you see him being startled and scared, it kind of makes you think that he's not the bad guy. So it was a red herring on my part to steer the audience in one direction with some information that this guy is kind of nervous being out here in this area and he's not comfortable, and the audience should feel for him and relate to his uncomfortableness. So that was my intention on adding this scene. The shot where he dips under the crime scene tape was really important. I wanted to establish that there was, in fact, a crime scene here. In my mind, the police knew that a crime had occurred here, whether they found an article of clothing or they found blood, but they never found a body. That was my intention. I've had some people ask about that. They never found the body. And that's why he's back out here to go over the area one more time and see if there was anything that they may have missed. But now that we know that he is the killer, he's returning because this guy gets off on manipulating the police. He gets off on working under the shadows on both sides of the law. And he's going back to claim his trophy, which is what he wanted to do. He could have took it when he killed her, but he gets off on the fact that this body is here, no one found it, and he's going to go and claim his trophy and then pin the crime on someone else, which we'll see soon. Now here we see an X that he has marked into a tree. The intention here was the audience doesn't quite know yet what's going on, but this is a marker that he left on a tree so that he could find his way back to the body more easily. In the audience's mind, I would think that, he noticed this scratch into the tree and he's following it as some sort of clue to help him figure out what exactly is going on here. Now, once we see him tracing his steps, things start to get a little confusing to our audience. Things start feeling a little off. Why is he doing this? This is just something that we have to come to a conclusion on watching this. And I thought this was really fun to manipulate the audience like this. They're like, what the hell is going on here? He's looking for clues, but yet he seems like he knows a little more than we know. So that's where the confusion starts to set in. Here you'll see our first look at his detective badge. This was a toy prop that I ordered off of Amazon.com. All in all, I spent about $50 on this short film, buying rubber gloves, the prop badge. I also was wearing a prop gun on my hip, but you can't really see it in the film, and I really didn't think there was any reason for me to pull that out or show it in any way in the film. So it's there, but you can't really tell it's there. And I also spent money on hiring my voice actor on Fiverr. So that was pretty much the entirety of the money I spent making this film. Everything else was equipment or gear I had beforehand. Here we see him putting on his latex gloves. This was a shot that I had in mind since I started thinking about this film. I really wanted to see a detective standing over a crime scene and putting on his latex gloves. There's just something, iconic about that. Here the audience should still be kind of confused. What does he know that we don't know? Why is he going to search this particular area? Why did he know how many steps he should take to get to this area? All of that is starting to unravel as the audience is watching here. Here we have the digging scene. This is pretty much the climax of the film as he's frantically digging in the dirt. The shot was actually a lot of fun to put together. It's actually the same 2 shots repeated over and over again and just sped up and sped up and sped up with the sound effects mingling in there to give it more, ferociousness. For this shot, I actually had my oldest daughter, who was the one pictured in the missing person poster from earlier. I used some makeup I had to make her hand look old and pale and dead and decayed. I had her lay down in the woods. I put the ring on her finger, of course, which I borrowed from my wife. And then I just dumped an entire bag of potting soil on top of her arm, covered it with leaves, set the camera up, and then slowly dug through the dirt until I got the hand exposed, and that's how I got that shot. I thought it turned out really well. She looks dead. I really think the sound effects and music go a really long way here in creating that sense of unease and that crescendo as the hand is unearthed. It really helps bring forth the impact of seeing this dead body in the woods. And I really love how I really didn't show any blood or any gore or anything like that, but you still just get this gross feeling when you're watching this that there's this dead body under the earth here and we're just seeing just a glimpse of it. But it's just enough to make us feel uneasy and grossed out, which was my intention. Now here we have the scene where he pulls the pill bottle out of his jacket and removes a piece of fiber with some tweezers. This is all stuff that I had lying around the house, a pill bottle, empty pill bottle. I got a red fiber from a sweater I owned, and I had some tweezers. This was actually a really difficult shot for me to pull off. I still didn't quite get the fiber in focus the way I wanted to. It was so dark out there. I'm filming by myself. It was really hard to tell if I had that little fiber in focus. And hopefully it looks good enough for the film, but it really wasn't up to par with what I wanted to achieve. But it works in the end, and I ended up having to use the best shot that I got. So here he is pulling a piece of fiber out that he is no doubt stolen from some sort of evidence locker or from someone that he knows. I just leave it up to your imagination. Where did he get this piece of fiber? Is it from evidence from another crime, someone that they may have thought committed this crime? Either way, he is planting evidence at this crime scene to incriminate someone else and pull eyes away from himself onto someone else. So there you go. Now here we have the detective frantically walking back, well, not frantically, but quickly walking back to his car. He looks over his shoulder. Now the audience is starting to, now the audience should have an idea that something is wrong here. He's planted evidence at a crime scene. He's removed evidence from the crime scene in the way of the ring, and he's looking very suspicious. So we pretty much know he is the killer at this point, but I wanted to go a little bit further and just really bring it home with him actually showing his collection of trophies and show how many women he has in fact murdered and stolen their rings. Some of you tech-savvy guys might notice that this case that he's pulling out and putting these rings in is in fact an SD card holder case. It's one of the ones that floats, it's waterproof or whatever, but it's a case for holding SD cards. I just put a little bit of gaff tape in each section of the card holder, and I just taped the rings to it because they wouldn't stay in place. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Could I have come up with a better solution with this given more time? Probably, but this works. And it also kind of makes sense. You would want to hide stuff like this somewhere where no one's probably going to look. Why would anyone look for rings in an SD card holder case? And this is going to fit in his pocket really nicely, and he can keep it on him at all times and no one's going to find it. I like in this shot how we get one more look at the picture of Olivia Braddock in the background. He has murdered this girl. It's evident at this point. It's really sad to see her picture there, and no one is going to be able to figure out who did this, because the one who did it is the one investigating the crime. I really wanted to have the music crescendo and then just stop abruptly once he gets this ring in this holder and closes it. It's almost like he's closing the book. All the anticipation is over. We know what's happening. We know there's no hope in this story. And pretty much when that music stops, that's when all the hope of the audience, of, you know, anyone figuring out what happened to this girl and, you know, bringing some closure to her story, is he's closing the book on that effectively. And here we have the very final shot of the film. This was a really tough shot to pull off. I can't emphasize that enough. Getting the mirror in focus, getting the camera out of the way of the mirror by myself, figuring out how to move the mirror in a way that I wanted, to where I didn't see much of my face, and I was, you know, keeping my hand in focus that was in the shot as well, and moving the mirror just enough to where you could see my mouth and the little grin that comes over it at the end. It was also important for me to not show the main character's face in this film. I wanted it to feel mysterious and leave you wondering who this man really is and what he's up to. And, you know, this final shot of him grinning into the mirror really just hammers home the fact that he's an evil person, and he's playing the game just the way he wants to play it, and everyone is falling for his tricks. So that's pretty much the film, guys. I hope you guys liked it. Now let's look at some questions that you guys posted in the comment section and on Twitter and stuff, and I'll see if I can answer those questions to the best of my ability. Okay, the first question I have here is from Nacho Molina. He says, "Bravo, Ryan. Lovely shots, intense, and with the unexpected end. I really love what you do. Thank you so much. What gear did you use?" I shot this film on my Panasonic GH5. For audio, I just used a Rode a Video Mic Pro attached to the top of the camera, and like I said, I replaced most of the sound effects in this film. As far as editing, I used Adobe Premiere Pro on my PC to edit the film. That's pretty much it. I didn't use any lights. I just used a tripod, my camera, and a mounted mic on the camera. Panasonic Lumix GH5 with a Sigma Art 18 to 35 millimeter lens on there, and that was pretty much it. Thank you for the question. Here is an in-depth question about the story from Randy Romero. "Hey Ryan, can you clarify something for me? Why would the cops put up crime scene tape if they hadn't discovered a crime or a body? Then the killer cop crosses that same crime scene tape, digs up the hand and retrieves the ring as a trophy, but wouldn't he have done that beforehand?" I kind of answered this question earlier. The reason there was crime scene tape, the cops knew something had happened in this location. Maybe this was where the girl was abducted. Maybe this was where she was last seen, so they were searching the area. Maybe they found an article of clothing, but they never found her body here or evidence that her body was here. So he's returning to the scene to see if there's anything they missed, and this is what he revels in. Going back to the scene of a crime, this is his, MO. He goes back to the scene of the crime and digs up the body so he could retrieve the trophy. That's what he got off on the most, was manipulating the police and being one step ahead and smarter than the police. This question is from Colson Studios. "Was this shot by yourself? If so, what was your process? Love your work. Thank you so much." This was shot by myself. As I mentioned earlier, every scene I shot up the tripod, got focused by myself, and filmed myself in the shot. It's not the easiest thing to do, but it can be done. Hopefully this is proof of that. And like I said, I used post-production movement, fake camera movement, to make it look as if someone was filming me in most of the shots, so that if I wasn't actually holding the camera. And hopefully I went over my process pretty good in there, but if you have any other questions about how that's done, I actually have quite a few videos here on the channel about how to make a film all by yourself, which goes over some of the best tips and practices for pulling off shots like this if you're interested in learning more about that. Thank you so much for the question. This question is from Twitter. This is from Adam Alexander. "What equipment did you use? Camera and lenses?" I used the Panasonic GH5 with my Sigma Art 18 to 35 lens. The woman's hand looked real. Was it? How did you shoot that? I loved the speed ramp of him digging. Did you film that at 24 FPS and then just speed ramp? Yeah, I just filmed that at 24 FPS and then I just sped it up as I needed throughout the course of the shots. And like I said, I reused the shots over and over again. And yes, the woman's hand was real. That was my oldest daughter. Her hand, I used makeup to make her look old and dead. And then I just covered it in dirt and then dug through the dirt to find her hand underneath the dirt. And that was pretty much it. And I think that's pretty much all the questions. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Thank you so much for supporting my work and trophies. Have some big news coming in the year ahead. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Thank you for taking time out to listen to me rant and ramble about what went into making this thing. I hope this has been beneficial for you and you learned something. And of course, if you guys have any more questions, please feel free to post them in the comments below. I'll be happy to continue answering questions about this film and what went into it. All in all, I'm really proud of this film. I think it's one of the best things I've done here for the channel. I thought the look turned out great. The pacing was great. Just really proud of it, and I hope you guys liked it. Please, if you did, please let me know in the comments below on the actual film itself what you thought if you haven't already. And hopefully I will see you again on the next video. Bye-bye. Hey guys, it's Ryan. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Please, before you leave, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. It's the best and easiest way to help this channel grow. And if you enjoyed this video, I think you're gonna like this video just as much. Thanks again, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.